what we need to do really should take 2 hours. But we don't have 2 hours. We don't even have an hour. So we're going to try to make it bekitzer. As I always say before I chazer asicha, that I do a disservice to the Rebbe, because if you chazer asicha, you're supposed to chazer the whole sicha, from beginning to the end with the Maram Ekemis. If you do anything less than that, you're doing a disservice to the Rebbe. So that's what we're going to do. Anyways, 35 years ago last night, Nafar God, Dover Godel Bilubavitch. What happened was, 2 weeks ago, Chavches Nissen, the Rebbe said the famous words, Tut als Wasser kennt. I don't want to keep you here to give you a little bit of history, Pashat, what happened then. I was here that Thursday night when the Rebbe said it, and it hit us like a bomb when the Rebbe said, Tut als Wasser kennt, ich hab getan als Wasser kennt. We never heard the Rebbe say the word ich. By verbringen, ich. You hardly ever heard it. And then mit Amal, the Rebbe said, Tut als was kennt. Ich hab getan als was kennt. Now, at the moment, we understood it to be that the Rebbe did everything he can to bring Moshiach, and he's giving it over to us. But that made absolutely no sense. The Rebbe can't, and we are going to. Herr Meister, it's klappt in Ganzen nicht. But that's what the Rebbe said. Seemingly, that's what we understood. Later we saw that we understood wrong. Aber that night, the place went chodorom mamish because nobody knew what to do. Backtrack in Tavshel Lamed Ches, when the Rebbe got the heart attack, Shmini Atzeres by night. Now we always knew the Rebbe to be Superman. As Le'inu Latzadik, that Tzadik, nothing happened. So while there was a big heart attack that was happening in the Rebbe's room, we bachrim, weißt doch, we decided tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, the Rebbe is going to come out to davening, Daigen is Talzam Beseder. And the Eltern mentioned, you guys are crazy. The Rebbe just went through 2 massive heart attacks. And we said, Dreitish, kick up. Anyways, came the next morning, 10 o'clock, and the Rebbe is not coming down. 10:05, 10:10, 10:15, 10:20. If it should never happen, the Rebbe shouldn't come down to davening the Yom Tov. Came on this given as Azach. No, finally comes about 11 o'clock, so we gave up. The Rebbe's not going to come down. And we didn't let anybody go to the Yom Tov. They were minyanim for David and other Rebbe. Anyways, but that was the first time in the history of Deir Shvi that the Rebbe did not show up to Shachris. Bichlal didn't show up, don't verbring anything. Everybody knew you come Shabbos Varchim to New York, you're verbringen. You'll never come to New York and Mitamal, they'll tell you. This week the Rebbe went on vacation. Went to the Bahamas. Went to Miami, als die grootste mens. Or ich weiß was, like all das, die alle Bobbe meises. Now when it came Chavches Nissen, and the Rebbe said, Tut als was kennt, ich habe getan als was kennt, laheva valarik, that's it. The Rebbe went up to his room. What was the Kava Beuchen to know if we understood or not? If tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, the Rebbe comes out to daven, hastes that we didn't understand what the Rebbe said, it must be something else. If the Rebbe doesn't come out to davening, now we know that the Rebbe is staying in his room and he's going on vacation. Truth tells us it can't, and now you're on your own. Comes 10 o'clock, the Rebbe didn't come down. 10:05, 10:10, 10:15, and we are sweating buckets. Finally, at 10:20, the Rebbe came out to daven. Okay. So we knew that we missed the boat. Anyways, the bottom line is, the Rebbe wasn't saying, I did everything I can to bring Moshiach, and I failed, and I'm giving it to you. But the Rebbe says, if you listen carefully to the Sikha, I did everything I can to get you to want Mashiach. Aber, you're not doing it because you really feel that way. It's because you're told to do it that way. But otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. So this was basically... So what the Rebbe was bringing out is that you have to get comfortable with the concept of Mashiach, like, I'm not saying, the Rebbe didn't say these words, but I'm paraphrasing, like, Hilchos Shabbos. You have 2 people, Beide Shemer Shabbos. This one doesn't turn on the light, and this one doesn't turn on the light. This one doesn't cook, and this one doesn't cook. This one doesn't carry, this one doesn't carry. The Chilik is, einer hat gelernt, was the Shabbos, and einer hat nicht gelernt. Der, was hat nicht gelernt, mit einmal, wer Scheile, he loses himself, he weiß was to turn. Right? Mashenke, that was what you learned. He understands it. It's a total different story. The Meise Bepoil may be the same, but the Verstand is a ganz andere. The same thing is with Moshiach. Moshiach, without the Rebbe, Moshiach is a malach from Himmel. Is going to come down eventually on 14th Avenue or on Kingston Avenue. He's going to come down and say, Yippee do, hineni, here I am, I'm going to take you out of Golos. That is the Moshiach was alle malmal gewart. The Rebbe said that's not Moshiach. You want to know what Moshiach is? He said, you garnish the shelf if you're a Baki B'Shas. Even if you know all the Gemaras about Moshiach, you don't know anything about Moshiach. For was? Because the Gemara is not Psak Din. The Gemara is Shakal Betarya. Would you ever eat chicken with milk? Favas nicht? Rabbi Yishak Lili? Okay, because it's Gemara, right? It's not halacha. Okay? So therefore, how do you know the halacha? Poel mamish. Was das is Mashiach? It's only in the Rambam Kiyadua. The Rambam wrote a sefer. I'm sure you all learned Three Prakim Rambam, Yad Tag, right? The Rambam wrote Yud Dalet Svarim, Pei Gimel Halachas, 1,000 Prakim. The last two Prakim of Hilchas Melachim, Hilchas Melachim L'Chameseim, Hilchas Melach HaMashiach. That's the correct Keteres. The last two Prakim, Pei Gimel Aleph and Pei Gimel Beis, is Hilchas Mashiach. So if you want to know what Mashiach is, you have to learn those two Prakim. Go to all the yeshivas. Nobody ever saw those two Prakim. Never mind, they didn't learn it. They never saw it. It was a Gimala Deis from Eitzes. Was is Mashiach, was is nicht Mashiach. If you don't know the Rambam, you have no idea what Mashiach is. Not only the Rambam, you have to learn the Rambam with the Sichas. Because without the Sichas can man nicht verstehen the Rambam. It's impossible to verstehen was the Rambam streit, the Perikut Aleph and Perikut Beis, if you don't learn the Sichas. So this is what the Rebbe said then. Went by 2 weeks. Came Tes Vav Iyar, which is yesterday. Now, everybody knows what this is. You can buy it in the stores every single week. What you buy in the stores today is an einikel of this. Okay? This is the Ot Zal. The einikel has chitas mit Rambam, mit Gemara, mit Dafayim, mit alle gute Sachen. What happened was, in Eretz Yisrael, this was a private person of Tuvia Palace. He gave out this Dvar Malchus every week. Now this one, I'm sure you've seen pictures of the Rebbe like this, right? You know what I'm talking about, yeah? This was number Yud Beis, number 12. This was the 12th week that this was coming out. What he did was, he used that there are a lot of people, when they see Likut Sichos, in the Welt dort, for einen was lernt Gemara, einen was lernt Halacha, einen was lernt Tagadte, and einen was lernt Kabbalah. But one should learn from Pirush Rashi, bis Halacha, Gemara, Agadate, Kabbalah, Meister B'Payel, all in one, as like in Likut Sichos. They're not used to it. So what he did was, how to make sure that everybody picks up the Likut? He gave out the Likut in the form of Dvar Malchus. He had the Likut inside of that week. Then he put a letter, a story, you know. So this way, people pick it up for the other things. And B'Meile, they already learned the Sikha. When the Rebbe said, "Tu tals was you can't," 2 weeks later, the Rebbe explained that it means to learn the subject. Where do you learn the subject? In the Rambam. So he gave out a Hitzom Yuchedes. In the back over here, he has Perek Yud Aleph and Perek Yud Beis of the Rambam. Here's the Siyum Rambam. Here he added the censored Rambam. I'm sure you know that the Rambam that we have doesn't have the whole story of Yoshke with Muhammad, with Yaleb, whatever, right? This you have in this Rambam. And in the front, he put, you learned this? You guys learned this? Yes. Mit dem Armekemis? Yes. Balpe? Yes. Good. Okay? So he has 4 sichos. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet. Aleph and Beis is on Perek Yud Aleph. Gimel and Dalet is on Perek Yud Beis. If you look at the Siyum Rambam phone, 1 second. The Rebbe got this on Tesvav. On 1 second. Shabbos was Yud Gimel. Monday Yud Tesvav. The Rebbe got it, and right before he went down to Mincha, the Rebbe came down to Mincha with it. In the elevator, the Rebbe told Rabbi Groner that for tonight, he wants to have, I believe the Rebbe said, he wants to have 10,000. Because he wants to give it out. And the Rebbe then turned it around. The Rebbe said, this is the Akdosha for the Rebbe's brother, whose yahrzeit is Yud Gimel Iyar. Okay, Rebbe Yisrael Ari Leib. Now, I'm sure you've seen videos of the Rebbe giving out Tanyas, mit Kutraisi, mit Mamorim, yeah? All of them. Tzad HaShavah Shebahem, the Eilam never knew beforehand the Rebbe is going to give out something. The Rebbe gave out Tanyas after Fabring and Yudalef Nissen, yeah? The Rebbe stood for hours, till Adei Rayim, Kipshutai. The next morning, Rabbi Krinsky took the Rebbe home. Whenever the Rebbe used to take every night the Rebbe home. So the Rebbe used to always get out of the car and say, Gute Nacht, and go into his house. That time, the Rebbe looked up and he said, Guten Tag. Okay? That was after he gave out the Tanyas. Was? But that went till the morning. So here, when he came to the Dvar Malchus, the Rebbe came down to Mincha. The Rebbe said a Sikha at 3:30, right after Mincha. In that Sikha, the Rebbe said, after Ma'ariv, Mechalik Zayin, I believe the Lashon was a Maimed for Rabbi Seinu Nesienu. I believe that was the Lashon. And then, versteht sich, if Mincha is 3:30, Ma'ariv is 9:30, so you have 6 hours in between. People came from Montreal, from Chicago, from Vurnam at Nonish Gekend. The Rebbe's giving Garakuntris. And everybody came flying from all over the place to Garakuntris. And the Rebbe stood from after Ma'ariv 9:30 until after 12:30. Over 3 hours, the Rebbe stood there and gave out they say, I believe that was the number, 9,500. Okay? To Anashim Nashim B'taf. So b'meila, the minimum that we could do is to go through the basic points. So what we're going to do is not the whole Kuntris. It's impossible, and we have to be finished by a certain time. I have another 2 affairs tonight. And we're just going to go through the first Sikha, Siman Aleph. The first Sikha, which is on Perik Yud Aleph. Okay? Now you all have a Rambam, yeah? You have the paper with the Rambam? Okay, this is the first Siman, which is in Likutei Sichos Chelik Yud Ches, Parshas Balak, known as Likud Balak, the famous Likud Balak, which the Rebbe spoke in the summer of Tafshin Lamed Ches, the Tammuz time, etc. And this is mamish one of the revolutions that the Rebbe made Pashat in Pshati Rambam. Now, by the second Siyum Rambam, in Tafshin Memvav, the first Siyum was Tafshin Memhei, the second Siyum, Tafshin Memvav, the Rebbe asked the Kasha, why are there 2 Perakim? Why Perik Yud Aleph and Perik Yud Beis? Why didn't the Rambam put it all into one Perik? And the Rebbe answered, Perik Yud Aleph and Perik Yud Beis are 2 separate subjects. Perik Yud Aleph discusses the person, Perik Yud Beis discusses the era. There's 2 things. There's the Mensch Moshiach and the Zman HaMoshiach. These are 2 things that they could come together, or the Lav Davke. Okay? That's what the Rambam has it as 2 separate concepts. Okay, so let's go quickly. Now, you have 4 halachas in this Perik. Let's go first, halacha Aleph. Halacha Aleph sagt Rambam Mazeh. Just for the people who, a bit of English, this is Perik Yud Aleph, chapter 11. You know what chapter 11 is in English? When a company goes bankrupt, right? So, till here's Geulah. Jetzt fängt sich an. Chapter 11 of Geulah. Yeah. Hamelach HaMoshiach Chosid Lamed. Moshiach is going to come and get up, and he's going to do 3 things. When you ask an average Jew, what's he looking forward to Moshiach? What does he answer? What is he looking forward to? The average Jew. That's what average Jew. Let's turn the page, go to Halacha Gimel. Was sagt Rambam gleich in Halacha Gimel? Al Yala al Daitecha. It should enter your mind. Shamelach HaMoshiach, tzarich lasis teisus umefsim. Moshiach has to do miracles. Umechadis dvarim ba'olam. Oi, what's the next thing? Oi mechayim meisir kayetze b'dvarim elu shatipshim oimrim. That's the Maisa. The average Jew says, what is he waiting for? That's what the Rambam. That's what Moshiach is going to do. Shatipshim oimrim. Yeah. Now let's make it very clear. There's going to be Tchias HaMeisim. Aber, we're soon going to see that the Tchias HaMeisim from the Rambam is not the Tchias HaMeisim that everybody is looking forward to. Okay, let's go back to the beginning again. Aleph. HaMelech HaMoshiach Chosid Lamed. Moshiach is going to get up and he's going to do 3 things. L'hachzir Malchus Beis David Liyoshtam Mepshala Rishena. Restore the kingdom of David HaMelech. Bein HaMikdash, build the Beis HaMikdash. Umekabes Nitchi Yisrael. And he's going to gather all the Nitchi Yisrael, the dispersed. Because he's going to do these three things, Melech, Mikdash, Mikabes Yisrael, B'Mele, Chayzer Kol HaMishpat B'Yadam K'Shayim Mikayim, you're going to have all the halachas like they were before, but says you're going to have the halachas. The moment you have a Melech, you know what the halachas are. Because he's going to build a Beis HaMikdash, Makrivin Karbonis, you're going to bring Karbonis. And because he's going to have a Kabbalah Yisrael, we're going to have Oisi Shmita V'Yovel, Kecham Mitzvahs on the Mura B'Teira. We have to do Shmita and Yovel. Heintige Parsha Behar talks about Shmita and Yovel, right? The Shmita that they do today in Eretz Yisrael is not exactly like the one in the Torah, because the one in the Torah has Shmita, and after 49 years you have Yovel. After the Yovel, you start again Shmita. But after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, there was no more Yovel, but they continued Shmita. So now the Shmita is Rebbe Divrei Sofrim, the Cheshbon is totally off because he missed all the Yovelis in between, etc. As Moshiach is coming, then we'll be able to do Shmita B'Yovelis the way it says it in the Torah. That's statement number one, and this is the statement that we need to remember throughout the whole Perek. That Moshiach is going to do three things and three things only: Melech, Mikdash, and Bekabes Yisrael. We're soon going to try to understand what is this business that he's going to restore the kingdom of David HaMelech. Moshiach is going to do it for the future, not for the past. All right. Second statement: whoever doesn't believe in him, or doesn't wait for him, sagt der Rambam, he doesn't deny only in the Levim. Denies the whole Torah. What's the Rambam saying over here? If you look at Torah, looks like doesn't say anything about Mashiach in Torah. It's also not Remez. But right? Mashenk in the Nevi'im, you have the Haftarah V'Achashal Pesach, you have a whole bunch of places in the Nevi'im where he talks about Mashiach, klar. So B'Melech, you could think that it's somebody who doesn't wait for Mashiach, denies only in the Nevi'im. So the Rambam, no, he's denying also Moshe Rabbeinu. There was a girl that she found in the Buntags, in the Hare Cheshech, by the Hindus, by the Chvesalenish, and Baruch Hashem, she came back, and she came here to one of the Meisdes. And after she became frum, his dafters and I gave full Yerushalayim, they asked her, Farvas, why did you go there? Was ist du dort gefunden that you didn't have in Torah? You know what she answered? They have prophets. Isaiah, Jeremiah, was up mir? You know Isaiah, Jeremiah? Ishai and Dirmir. You become meaning that the Nevi'im is a Pesach Meister, the Torah is an under Meister. No, says the Rambam that someone who denies or doesn't wait for Mashiach, he denies his Pashtakeh. The Rebbe said this once, Mamish Geris in the hearts when the Rebbe was saying this. In the early days of Mashiach. That people don't realize that in Mechakel B'Yosei. Mechakel B'Yosei means Kipshutai. when you see a guy standing by a bus stop, you never saw the guy. You know what he's doing there, right? What's he waiting for? Number one, you know that he's waiting. Waiting for who? For the train. For the bus. Because he's standing by a bus stop, right? So we know exactly what he's doing. And you also know that the bus is supposed to be coming soon. Because if it's coming tomorrow, Hotten is supposed to stay yet. Mechakel B'Yosei Tachat Meist Ot That's what Mechakel B'Yosei means. And if someone doesn't have it, Kefer B'Torah. Because in Torah steht Mashiach. Who steht this? You said it this morning in davening. Shenemar v'shav Hashem lekecha shvuscha v'richamecha v'shav v'kibetza b'kol ha'amim. The Rebbe is there. This is the psukim before Kikar v'lecha davar me'ed. Yeah. Even if the people are dispersed to the other end of the world, the Rebbe is going to bring you to Eretz Yisrael. So we have a place in the Torah where it says about Mashiach, where v'shav Hashem lekecha shvuscha. Klar? And the Rambam gives dazu, ve'elu advarim froshim b'Torah. These few words which are written in the Torah, heim kol advarim shenemra adei kol hanevim. Anything that you find in Nevi'im is all part of these few psukim. So statement number one in the halacha is Mashiach is going to do three things: Melech, Mikdash, Mekabes Yisrael. Statement number two: whoever doesn't believe or wait Mashiach denies in the Torah and in Moshe Rabbeinu. I'll state in the Torah. So far, so good. There's a lot of kashas here. I'm just going to mention one, and that is this statement: Kol mishin amami bein mishin mechakel b'Yosei. The Rambam should have put either in the beginning of the halachas or at the end. In other words, start of Hilchas Mashiach. So says Mashiach. If you don't believe in it, Mr. Kefer. We'll see what this is. Here it is. Right here, the Rambam says no. First, you have to know what he's going to do. Dernoch, mechakel b'Yosei is Kefer b'Torah. What's the seder here? Next. The third point in the halacha There's a second place in the Torah. Where's the second place? After Parshas Bilam Nema, in Parshas Bilam. Now the Parsha really is called Parshas Balak. We're not going to go into the details while the Rambam says Bilam. Okay. He talks about two Moshiachs. Which two Moshiachs? And you ask in the world, wer sind zwei Moshiach? Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David, right? According to the Rambam, Moshiach ben Yosef doesn't exist. It's not in Hilchas Moshiach. Which are the two Moshiachs, like the Rambam? The Moshiach Harishon, Shehu David. David HaMelech is the first Moshiach. Sheshias Yisrael Miatzareim. And the second Moshiach is the Moshiach HaAchrein, Sheyamen Mibonav, Shemeshias Yisrael Miat Bnei Esau. So the first place in the Torah is V'shav Hashem Lekach Yeshvuscha. The second place in the Torah is Bilam, but over there it talks about two Moshiach. The first, which is David HaMelech, and the second one, which is the Mashiach, which is going to take the Yidden out of Golus. And now the Rambam is going to bring 4 psukim in Parshas Bilam. Each one of these psukim has the first half and the second half. First half, second half. Zog the Rambam, why does each pasuk have a first half and a second half? The first half talks about David, and the second one talks about Mashiach. First about David, Mashiach, David, Mashiach, David, Mashiach. 4 psukim. Okay? At the end, then what does it say in Bilam? At the end of Elayato, I see him, but not right now. Is that David? Ashuren of Elikorev, Zamalach HaMashiach. Torah Kechav Yaakov, is that David? Kom Shevet Misrael, Zamalach HaMashiach. Mochatz Pasem Moav, is that David? The Karka Kom Neshes, Zamalach HaMashiach. The Hoya Edom Yeresa, is that David? Vayeresha Zeyoviv, Zamalach HaMashiach. Shlema Holam Shimatzin, the Spitzaresa. So far so good? So in Halacha Aleph, we have 3 statements. Statement number 1 is the 3 things Mashiach is going to do. Statement number 2, whoever doesn't believe or wait for Mashiach denies in Torah and in Moshe Rabbeinu. Farvas, because it says V'shav Hashem Lekach Yeshvuscha. Statement number 3, there's a second place in the Torah, and that is where? By Parshas Bilam. Over there it talks about 2 Mashiachs. Mashiach Harishon and Mashiach HaAchrein. And da vertikashe, why did David HaMelech deserve the name Mashiach? That he was a grace Melech. David Melech is all Chavikayim. Das weiß man. Why did he get the title Moshiach? Okay? What did he do? The Lepali died. In Geulah. Why does he get the title Moshiach? I'll tell you a cute little story. Right after Gimel Tammuz. Try to make it quick. Right after Gimel, I don't know if you know. I hope you don't know. There's a program on the radio, the Jewish program in the morning from 6 to 10, 6 to 9. It's called JM in the AM. That's what it's called, JM in the AM, Jewish music in the AM. I also didn't know about it until I was called about it. And the guy is a very, very nice guy. When I came there, he pulled out the dollar from the Rebbe there in his pocket, and his father went to Shlichus to the Rebbe in Russia. I got to Geschäft. Anyways, after Gimel Tammuz, he was getting a lot of pressure that he has to have someone on the radio to talk about the Rebbe. Now, he puts music for about 3 hours, and almost every day he used to have somebody from 8 to 8:15 for 15 minutes interview about a subject. Now before Lag Baimer, he would have somebody talk about Lag Baimer parade, the Israeli Day parade. There's a Psalmois of the United States that wants everybody to know about them. He would have anybody, any Jewish thing, he would have 15 minutes from 8 to 8:15. Now, he was getting a lot of pressure to have somebody about the Rebbe after Gimel Tammuz, but he was afraid. Whoever's going to come, clap the Rebbe's Mashiach, and Fartig says, you can't. So he has a very good friend, this is in New Jersey, he has a very good friend, his name is Reb Motl Kanelsky, and Reb Motl Kanelsky is in New Jersey, and I'm also very friendly with Motl, we were together in yeshiva. So Motl calls me up, and he asked me, would you speak on the radio for this guy? I said, Gesundheit. He said, yeah, but you can't say that the Rebbe's Mashiach. So I said, if he doesn't ask, what should I say? If he becomes an animal, I could do the same. Aber auf nicht, was all right. The day before, I called him up. Before I have to go on the program, I called him up and I said, I'm coming tomorrow to your program. Could you tell me more or less what the questions you're going to ask me? He says, no, it has to be spontaneous. I said, okay. I wanted to be nice. Oh, good. Comes the next morning, I get there. Those days, wherever I went with my Dvar Malchus. And I came, I put the Malchus on the table, and we started the program. First started on my stage. He was by a bris the day before. It was a second cousin of mine, not Lubavitch's, which I didn't know who he was talking about because she got married, so I didn't know her married name of this cousin of mine. But he says, I went to your cousin's bris yesterday over there in New Jersey. I had no clue what he's talking about. And I said, in New Jersey, I couldn't make it. Good. Anyways, then he said, since everybody's talking about Moshiach, why is it? That's what he asked me. Why is it? And I was getting ready for everything. Why is it that on Motzei Shabbos, all Yidden, when they eat Sudas of Motzei Shabbos, it's called Udsa, the David Malka Mashiach. Vikum David HaMelech to Mashiach. That was his first question. I said, Nachum, here, tell everybody what I hold in my hand. He starts going, Dvar Malchus. I said, tell them, what is this? I said, you came 3 years too late. 3 years ago, the Rebbe gave out this booklet. And in this booklet, the first question is, Vikum David HaMelech to Moshiach. Okay? So the interview with me was not from 8 to 8:15. It was from 8 to 8:59, a minute before he had to finish the program. The only time we stopped was at 8:30 for station identification, whatever that is, which is Nigay. Okay? And he was Pasha flabbergasted. The Pasha, the Elam out there has no idea what Mashiach is. When I say no idea, I mean no idea whatsoever. Okay? Anyways, getting back to our Malchus here. So, now we're going to go to Halacha Beis. Halacha Beis, the Rambam says, oops, I told you in Halacha Aleph, how many places do you have in the Torah? Mashiach, 2 places. First one is the Shavasham Lekach Shvuscha. The second one is Pashas Bilam. So the Rambam is sorry. I'm sorry. There's a third place. Where's the third place? Sagt der Rambam, Beis, Af Be'ore Miklat Uemer. Sagt der Mont, there's a third place called Ore Miklat. Why? Because the Kitzer Nimrat, when the Rebbe in Parshas Lech Lecha, told Avram Avinu that he's giving him Eretz Yisrael, Lezaracha, by Bris Ben Absarim, he told him Eretz of Eser Umois. Right? Mashen came when Yeshua went into Eretz Yisrael, he only had Eretz Shiva Umois. When are we going to get Keni Knizi Vekatmeni, the other 3? Sagt der Rebbe in Dvarim, Ki Yarchiv Hashem Elokecha Es Gvulcha, when the Rebbe will give us the whole Eretz Yisrael, which includes Saudi Arabia, mit alle Araber dort, und Zemenes in the ganze Balbatim. In minutes, they're going to lose the whole thing and we're getting it all. Yeah? The Omachleik is exactly where's Keni Knizi Vekatmeni, but it's definitely in that area over there. Right? Is Moshe Rabbeinu in Pashas Veschanon set aside 6 Ore Miklat, 3 in Ever Yarden and 3 in Eretz Yisrael. 6. Mashenki, but Moshiach is going to come. We're going to have another 3, which is a total of 9. Zok the Rambam in the Halacha Beis that here's another place in the Torah where by Ore Miklat. Ore Miklat Uemer Ki Yarchiv Hashem Elokecha Gvulcha V'Yosafta Lecha Oishal L'Shorim Al Shol L'Shoel. You have to add another 3, which is a total of 9. Zok the Rambam U'Me'olam L'Hoya Davar Zeh. This never happened. V'Litziv HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Toyu. The Rebbe doesn't say things Tamazeh. Aval B'Divre HaNevim Ein Adar Tzar Chraya Shekol Asfer Milei. Okay, whatever. So in Halacha Aleph we have 2 places in the Torah, Shavas Amalekach Vuscha and Pashas Bilam. Halacha Beis we have a 3rd place. Shtalt sich Hashayle. Why didn't the Rambam put all the 3 Rayas all together in the same Halacha? Weiter. Halacha Gimel. Now that I told you all the places du steht in Torah Veg Mashiach, says the Rambam, Al Yal Al Daitech Halacha Gimel Al Yal Al Daitech Chivnin into your mind. Shamelech HaMashiach Tzarich Lasses Eses Mefsim. The Mashiach has to do miracles B'chades Dvarim Ba'olam and do some novelties. Oimechayim Mesim or Tkesa Mesim Uki Yoytze B'Dvarim Elu Shehatip Shimimrim Ein Adavar Kain. Mashiach does not have to do any miracles or any Tkesa Mesim. Farvos Shera Rabbi Kiva Chacham Gadol Mechacham Mishnah Haya. Rabbi Kiva was a big Chacham for the Chacham Mishnah. Who Hayonese Kelev Shel Ben Kuziva Melech. He was the schlepper for Ben Kuziva for Bar Kochva. Who Hayemer Olaf Shua Melech HaMashiach. And Rabbi Kiva said about Bar Kochva that he is Moshiach. Nishtor he said it. V'dimahu v'chol Chachme Deire Shua Melech HaMashiach. Say Rabbi Kiva and say all the Chachamim all said about him that he is Moshiach. Ad Shenerak B'Avenis until he got killed with the Avenis Hadoir. Kiva Shenerak once he got killed. But what do we see from this story, says the Rambam? The Chachamim did not ask from him any miracles. Is that I, like the Rambam, that Mashiach doesn't have to do any miracles? Okay? What do we have to know? Like the Rambam, what you need to know is this. This Torah. Torah does not change. There's 613 mitzvahs. Ad kan. You don't take off one, you don't add one. But there's a few gears. I don't know exactly the one you have over there, but it's all the same. Whatever. Okay? So the Rambam here in Halacha Gimel says two statements. Statement number one is Moshiach doesn't have to do any miracles. Why? From Geulah. They didn't ask him for any miracles. What do you have to know, says the Rambam? The Torah is eternal. They're both the correct statements. But what's the connection from one to the other? Das ist besagt Geulah, you don't have to have miracles. And Torah is eternal. What's the hamshach over here? And the Rambam finishes off Halacha Dalet. Once I told you we stated Torah and what you shouldn't look forward to. Here's the resume. Dalet. Number one, he says four things on Moshiach's resume. Number one, the erste Zach, you want to know who he is? The first thing, look if he's from Beis David. If he's not from Beis David, out. You have to find somebody who's from Beis David, but somebody who's a melech. Well, let's not go into the details over here, and that he knows the whole Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebal Peh. Yeah, that's the first thing that you have to find. The next thing is Beis. V'Yaakov Kol Yisrael Leilach Bol Chazik Bitka. He will compel all Yidden to go in the derech of Torah and to even fix. Somebody who already does Torah, what is Mashiach going to do to him? What happens if people write to the Rebbe, I have a problem, what does the Rebbe say? Check your mezuzahs, check your film. Chazik Bitka, Pasuk Pshutai. Yeah. The third thing, V'Yilchel L'chames Hashem. He's going to be in the forefront of the wars of the Eibishter. Hareze B'chesket Shu Mashiach. We have a chazaki that is Mashiach. Im Osav Yitzliach. For this you need to go to the space Rabbeinu Shem Babel. Israel, then Hareza Moshiach Bevada. Once he does all these things, he is Moshiach for sure. And the fourth thing on his resume, V'yataken Esaylam Kuloi Lavadas Hashem Beyachad, Shenemar, Ki Oz Epech Elam Himself Abrura, Likar Kula B'Shem Hashem, Ulavdei Shechem Echad. I'm not going to go through the second part, which talks about Yoshka and the Muhammad B'Dal Maisis. But the bottom line is, here you have the basic Peirik of the Rambam. There's a yam of Shilas on this Peirik. You look at the Likud, you will see. But let's just go through quickly the Nekudas, and we're going to just touch the surface of the Biur, and then from that you could go through the whole Sikha. The first question that we had was, why Dafka these three things, the things that Moshiach is going to do? Lachus machus David Leishna, Ben Hamikdash v'kabetz Yisrael. Why taken not Chiyas HaMesim? Or the other things the Moshiach is going to do. Then from this, we go into whoever doesn't believe or wait for Moshiach denies in the Torah. What's the flow? Because it says, then we go to Pashas Bilam, but Bilam talks about two Moshiachs. The man of Keminah. Why is David the Melech Moshiach? What does it have to do with this whole story? After the Rabbah brings the two Rayas Min HaTorah, Halacha Beis, a third Raya, Arei Miklat. But Arei Miklat does not belong in Halacha Aleph. It's a separate Halacha. Why is Arei Miklat a separate Halacha? Then from here we go. So Shmeina, the Mashiach has to do miracles. No, ain't a davar kain. What do you have to know? The Torah is eternal. And then we go into the resume of Mashiach. Where is the flow of these four halachas? There must be a nekuda. That once we have that nekuda, everything will start flowing through. And the Rebbe explains that as follows. You ask any Lubavitcher, why did the Rebbe create a world? Why did the Rebbe create a world? Sometimes I go on Talucha and I say it. I have to touch it and tell them where it says it and what it means. Okay, but you guys know what it means. The Rebbe had a taiva to have madira. How do you make a dira for the Rebbe? A dira for a person, I know what to do. A dira for the Rebbe? We have no idea what to make a dira for the Rebbe. So we have to ask the Rebbe. What does the Rebbe say? How do you make a dira b'tachteinim? How you do it? Very simple, says the Rebbe. I need a house which is put together of 613 bricks. When you do 613 mitzvahs, that is what my house looks like. Okay? B'meile, kum the Rambam, and the Rambam gave us 998 prakim till here. And what does he explain in these 998 prakim? Kol hamitzvahs kulon. all the 613 mitzvahs with their pratim. Uprate pratim. And the 2-3 prakim before this is even Sheva mitzvahs b'nei everything. The Mele sagt der Rambam zu Yid, here, go and do all the 613 mitzvahs. Mach dir betachtonim. Einmal für allemal. Sei froh mit Yid. Was ist froh mit Yid? Einmal mach dir betachtonim. If it's not dir betachtonim, we're not from. Was du aufgetan, if it's not dir betachtonim? Sagt der Yid zu der Rambam, I'm sorry. I'm in Golos. I'm in Golos, I cannot do all the mitzvahs. Sagt der Rambam, hast du Breire? Do you know who's going to give you all the mitzvahs? Analyze this for a minute. Did Moshe Rabbeinu do dir betachtonim? Did Moshe Rabbeinu do all the 630 mitzvahs? Moshe Rabbeinu went from Merid, no? Did he do all the 630 mitzvahs? No. He had his dargis. Aber not all the 630 mitzvahs. What was Moshe Rabbeinu missing? He was a melech. As I stated, Moshe Rabbeinu melech. He was melech. But he didn't have mikdash. Didn't have a mokim asheriv char Hashem. And he didn't have all the halachas at least barit. Right? What are the 3 conditions needed to be able to do all the 630 mitzvahs? You need a melech, you need a beis hamikdash, and you need Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. If you have these 3 conditions, you have all the 630 mitzvahs. Therefore, sagt der Rambam, what Moshiach is going to do, one thing and one thing only. He's going to make a perfect world. How do you make a perfect world? A world that you do all the 630 mitzvahs. How is he going to do that? He's going to be a melech, bein hamikdash, and mekabel zit Yisrael. Sehr pasha. Kommt Yid und sagt, but Moshiach is not here. What am I supposed to do? Sagt der Rambam, does it bother you at all that he's not here? Did it ever happen to you that you had to run to catch a flight or whatever, and mit you forgot to film at home? You ever hear something like this? A mensch vergesst einmal the film. What does he do on the break? He goes nuts. He needs his film. What did I say this to when they went to jail? They took away that film. Was haben sie getan? Did they say, hey, Mr. Sorry, they took away my film? Or they said, hey, Mr. Please, get me my film. Which one? Give shit and gewalt. Right? Fragt der Rambam, excuse me. That same Torah that says you have to put on film, dacht as in the selbe Torah steht, man bringen a carbon tamid in the free. Is that what it says in the Torah? Did you bring your carbon tamid this morning? Does it bother you like you don't have your film? Sagt der Rambam, you deny in Torah. Because by you, Torah means only help. The Karbonis, nistigay. Film, sicher. You can't do that. Therefore says the Rambam, somebody was on his forehead, mizet nicht, as he bothered him, that he didn't bring his carbon this morning, farvos, because in order to do a dir betachtenim, you have to bring a carbon. Is that okay for a Torah? Got it? Schwere Werte, but that's what the Rambam says. And the Rambam continues. Abi Pashas Bilam. Abi Shamni, Abi Shnei Meshichim. Who was the first person in history that gave the possibility to do all the 630 mitzvahs? In other words, you had a Melech, Mikdash, and the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. What? Has gelernt Rama Milchus Beis Abchira? Was steht in Milchus Beis Abchira? I don't know your name, so don't worry about it. Okay? It's just a conversation. The Rambam sagt klar in Milchus Beis Abchira that when the Rebbe said to was the Mikdash Chanti B'Seicham, then the Mishkan went to Eretz Yisrael. How many years did it take till they came to Yerushalayim? Over 400 years. And when Vayomer David Zeh Beis Hashem, that's when Ne'esru Abomis. For 400 plus years, a Yid wanted to bring a Korban Shlomi, not the Korban Pesach or the Korban Tamid. Korban for everybody had to be done in the Mishkan, wherever it was, Yishulah, Noivin, Given, wherever it was. But a person who wanted to bring a Korban Shlomi, a Korban Toida, he was able to go into his backyard, make a little Mizbeach, which is called a Boma, and then he could bring the Korban. The moment Vayomer David Zeh Beis Hashem, sagt der Rambam, Nesru Abomes. Halachically, we had the Beis Hamikdash. But the Melech was supposed to build it, but down after Shafach, that's the difference with Shlomo Melech. Aber mitzad halacha, who is the one that made the place of Beis Hamikdash, ad kedikach the Nes Rabomois, was David HaMelech. So who was the first person in history that gave the possibility to do all the 613 mitzvahs? Was David HaMelech. That's why it's the Moshiach Harishon. He wasn't some Melech. Moshiach in the tight Shleimus of Torah. Who was the first person in history that gave Shleimus of Torah? Was David HaMelech. So far so good? Frag the Rambam $1 million question. That's the kasha. If David HaMelech was Moshiach, yeah? What happened afterwards? Weitergegangen in Geulah is weiter. What makes him Moshiach? And where's Dr. Rahman al that the last Moshiach is not going to have this problem? Was it Teretz? Kommt der Rambam in Halacha Beis. Avore mikla tuoim. David HaMelech, watch this. He didn't have 613. He had 612.6. Kimat 613. But nicht die ganzen. It was missing 3 other miklat. Moshiach is going to have 613 complete with other miklat. That's what the Rambam puts other miklat and halacha based on a separate halacha. In halacha Aleph, the Rambam wants to bring right from the Torah. The Moshiach is shleimus ha-Torah take. And that's why David HaMelech is considered Moshiach. But that's just a dogma. The real one is going to be the Moshiach is going to give other miklat. Now, frag the Welt, what's that for another miklat when Moshiach comes? That's a separate shiur for another time. If you want to come back, and we'll talk about that. And that's the kuntres that the Rebbe gave out. Shvuas Taf Shin Nun Aleph kuntres Teirach Hadashim Mititeitze. That the Rebbe explains what's other miklat story. But we're not going to get into it now. Right now, we just want to explain why the Rambam put in a separate halacha, because the halacha shows the uftu of Moshiach over David HaMelech. David HaMelech was almost Moshiach, and Moshiach is going to have 630 complete. That's what the Rambam continues. Moshiach is going to come revive the dead. What's the big deal to revive some dead people? That's what Moshiach is coming to do. The Gemara, what's a bigger miracle? A child being born or a dead person coming alive? We're used to seeing children being born every single day, and we're not used to seeing people make dead people alive. Oh, but if you think for a moment, the Gemara says, the Rebbe could make that up from a garnish, a living object, somebody that was alive to putting back alive. He's like, what's a bigger ness? The bigger ness is a child being born. And not only that, when the Rebbe created the world, there was no Misa. How did Misa come? After the Chet Eitzadas. So you have a perfect world. Comes Moshiach and makes a perfect world. What happens? Automatically, Misa goes out. What happens to the dead people? They wake up because there's no more Misa. So Moshiach is not going to do Tchias HaMesim. Moshiach is going to do a perfect world. Automatically, the people are going to wake up. But Moshiach is not coming to do Tchias HaMesim. That's not his job. His job is Shleimus ha-Torah, to make a perfect world. And that's why you need a Moshiach that has a resume of Shleimus ha-Torah. Yes, the Zach is, he has to be a Nikol of David HaMelech, Moshiach Harishon. And he has to know the whole Torah Shebiksav Torah Shel Apen, Shtokeh Chochmes. The second thing he has to do, get all the Yidden to do Torah Mitzvahs. The third thing is, Yichum Mechamis Hashem. Now, just in one line, you see there's 4 things in the resume. Alle Mefarshim fragen, the few Mefarshim that talk about this subject, why does the Rambam bring 4 psukim? In the Migeres, when the Rambam talks about this whole story, he doesn't bring all the psukim. He says the psukim. You go look at Parshas Bilam. Here, the Rambam brings all 4 psukim, because when the Rambam brings a pasuk Gementa Halacha, these 4 psukim are connected to 4 things which you're going to have in the resume. The first one is Yamet Melech Beis David, that who he is. The second thing is Yaakov Kol Yisrael, what he does on the Yidden. The third thing is Yilchim Chamas Hashem. The fourth thing is Yitakin Kol Olam Kula. You see, Get Al Seder. If you go back to Halach of Aleph, the second half where it talks about the psukim of Bilam, the first pasuk is that Enu v'loi ato, I see him. Asherenu v'loi karev, I see him. The second thing is Darakecha Yaakov. He becomes a star in Yaakov, becomes Shevet Yisrael, a ruler over the Yidden. The third thing is Bachas Pasam Oyav, Yilchim Chamas Hashem. The fourth thing, that goes on Yitakin Kol Olam Kulei. But again, you have to go through the Sikha to see exactly how this thing. But the bottom line that what Moshiach is going to do is one thing only: Shleimus HaTorah. That the world will be in a state that you could do all the 630 mitzvahs. That's why Dafki in our generation, there's such a mitzvah of Bachrim who go out from a yeshiva, girls go out from school, and they stop another year to do what? To put on tefillin. Parvas? Because Bash have to fill the world with mitzvahs. Because that's what does the Rebbe Tachtonim. Those that make shiurim mit Zachen and try to explain all kinds of stuff, they're very good. But that's not what's going to bring Mashiach. What's going to bring Mashiach is Pashat 613 mitzvahs. Zehu ha'inyan bekitzur gadol. Now you can go and learn the Sikha. What? Say it again? Right. The Moshiach is not going to do any miracles. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to do Shleimus HaTorah. And therefore, don't look for miracles. Ikar advarim kochem. What's the ikar? You have to know the Torah is eternal. If the Rebbe says 630 mitzvahs, it means 613. Today you're not bringing the carbon. Does it bother you? Bist du mechakel biyose? Darech Hagav, the Rebbe Tafshin, I think it was with Beis. The Rebbe one time said that he was once going on the train. And before the Kingston Avenue stop, he heard two people talking. And one told the other that this is the stop of the Lubavitchers. So the other guy asked, wer sind das die Lubavitchers? So the other guy answered, das didn't was warten auf Mashiach. Okay? It has to be on our forehead. Amol, people we used to, I used to travel much, much more. COVID messed everything up, but it almost never happened. Metreft noch Hayid, right? First thing you ask, where you from? Lubavitcher. First question. You for those that say the Rebbe's Moshiach or not? And I said, thank God. Metreft Lubavitcher, the first word that comes out is Moshiach. That's exactly what we're looking for. Was ja versteht gar nicht, das badet keiner nicht. Okay? But if you want, I'll finish off with a cute little story. I was on the plane going to Brussels. Right outside Brussels in Belgium. Right outside there's a city called Antwerp. Antwerpen is like you take Borough Park, Williamsburg, 5 towns, and you put them all in 30 blocks. Okay, you have alle Sorten dort, Mizrachisten, whatever you want. Anyways, but there's a lot of Chassidische. And I was on the plane. Those days, it was before September 11th, so you're able to congregate, verbringen a bissel. So, the usual question, you're from those or from these? I asked, tell me what is these and what is those? Yeah, are you from those that said the Rebbe is Moshiach, the Rebbe is not Moshiach? So I said, I'll tell you what, welche chassid bist du? What are you? What kind of chassid are you? So he said, a Sadigerer. I said, I'll tell you what, I once walked into 770, and I saw these organization. Now I was thinking, who should I follow? I decided I'm going to buy a sefer, which is called from the Rebbe's Hoif, which talks about the Sadigerer Chassidim. And I saw over there on page 46, he was standing there, and I advised upon him because he didn't know about the sefer. Maybe he knew about the sefer, but he didn't know what it says on page 46. And then I'll tell you how I found it. And I told him, that I'll give you the background of this. There's an encyclopedia called Ot Zal. This encyclopedia came out of Tov Reish Samach Ches. In other words, when the Rebbe was 6 years old. Okay? So he wasn't influenced by what's going on. Okay? It's a fantastic encyclopedia. He wasn't mamish, but he was very frum. It's written very, very well. Yeah, he gave all the people in Russia and in Poland, what's going on in the world. First of all, he has every concept. Kohen Gadol does, any subject that a Jew wants to know. But he also had, for example, New York. A person sitting in Russia, he is New York. What's New York? He has a whole thing about New York and how many shuls there are and all that. He has unbelievable stuff. Anyways, he has an entry called Tzaddik. He starts from Tanakh straight through. Then he comes, the Tzaddikim, and Mitamol, the Talmid Arizal, they became a Mitamol, the Tzaddikim. Okay, the Baal Shem Tov. Now only the Rebbes are Tzaddikim. Everybody else is out. Only the Chassidische Rebbes, they're the Tzaddikim. Okay. Then he has an entry called Tzaddik Hador. What's Tzadik Ador? In the same thing. I can bring it to you. It's printed. What's Tzadik Ador? He says, Tzadik Ador is the Taich that all the Chassidim, Kol Chassidim, that's a lesson. Kol Chassidim Aminim She'im Eib Zal haben the Schus in their Teir that Moshiach is going to come, that their Rebbe is Moshiach. Aber wird die Scheile, Mihu Tzadik Ador, sagt dass jeder Rebbe, every Kvutza says that the Rebbe is Moshiach. He says from the Baal Shem Tov on. Aber Hifliu Chsidi, I'm going to have you choose who this is, a certain group of Chassidim, that when they say L'chaim, they don't say L'chaim, Parnas, Nachas for the Kinder, L'chaim, Sheis Galem, Malkeinu, Meshichenu, Bagola, Didan, Ubizman Korif. Und soll Nizgale werden, Hadrosse, Bechol, Oilum, Kuloi. Which Chassidim is this? You know which Chassidim? Sadiger Chassidim. And it says over there, so I went and I bought the Sefer. It's like I say, so this guy standing there, this Sadiger guy, and I told him, I want to know what to do. Should I go with these or with those? They said, let me have a student, Sadiger. Du bist doch ein Sadiger, yeah? That's what they did. Ich tue, was dein Seid hat getan, und du tust nicht, was dein Seid hat getan. I said, wer ist größer? Wer versteht etwas? He was floored. You got it? Because when the whole story of Moshiach started, we went and started collecting those pieces from the time of the Baal Shem Tov. Who's the greatest Gerer Rebbe? Who's the greatest Gerer Rebbe? Chidushei? Harim. What was his name? Itche Meir. Yeah, every Gerer. That's even the Davish of Menachem Mendel. Levi Yitzchak. And Gerer is Itche Meir. Who was Itche Meir's mother? That's the Swiss. It's okay. And it was Chai Sarah. What did the Chassidim of the Chiddush Urim say? He's Moshiach. What's Rosh Tevis? Yud Mem, Itche Meir, Chai Sarah, Mem Shir Yud Ches. Pashtat Kipshutay. The Gerer Chassidim said about the Chiddush Urim, there is Moshiach. No, the Einikach are not doing that. That's their problem, not our problem. Was tut sich da? Bis ein heftiger Welt. L'chaim.